Hi everybody, welcome back to the Crafts channel. I'm Stuart Hillard, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you a great stitch technique, stitch pattern that is a really useful one. It's called Jute Stitch, and I think this would be really fantastic for something like a jacket, something that you want quite a nice smart structure to. It is very flat, it's a beautiful texture, but it's quite a subtle texture too. So it'd be really nice for that. I think it would also be really nice to create a tie from. That would be lovely too. It's really a variation on moss stitch or seed stitch. So if you've ever done those stitches, it'll be quite familiar, but it has the added frisson of a slip stitch. Let me show you what I mean. Now, I've cast on some stitches and you want an odd number of stitches, so multiples of 2 plus 1 extra stitch. I love to knit on circular needles. I just find them easier to handle, shorter in my hands, so I find them easier to handle, but you can knit these on regular straight needles. I just find it easier to hold. So I've cast on my stitches and it is a very simple 2-row repeat. So we're going to start off with the right side row, and you'll be able to tell it's the right side row as you're knitting this because this has got the interesting jute pattern. You'll see this is the slip stitch right here where you've got like a little line going across, and then there's a little V above it, and then a gap, and then a little line and a V above it. If I show you the wrong side of the work, it looks more like long rib sections, which is also pretty cool. I do love it when the wrong side of the work looks good too. But this is the right side here with this sort of textured, almost like a basket weave effect. So we're going to start off by purling the first stitch. So yarn's in front to purl, and we're going to purl that first stitch. Now keep the working yarn at the front as if to purl again, but what we're going to do is slip the next stitch off the needle. And then we're going to go in to the third stitch to purl, and remember that yarn is still at the front, and we're going to purl that stitch. Now if I just move that out of the way, can you see how keeping the yarn at front has created this little bar of yarn, this little line of yarn going across the front? That was because we kept the yarn in front when we slipped the stitch. So we've purled one, keep the yarn in front, slip one, purl one, slip one. I love any stitch that involves slipping because it feels like doing half the work because I'm only working half the stitches. Slip and purl. Just remember to keep the yarn in front the whole time. Slip one, and then your last stitch you will purl. So that's row 1, and that's the right side. So I'm going to turn my work now, and I'm going to work the wrong side row. Now for the wrong side row, this is easy peasy. We're just going to knit, purl, knit, purl. So knit the first stitch and purl the second, knit and purl. And work that straight across. So you have to remember this time to keep moving your yarn to the front for the purl and to the back for the knit. Oops. Knit, purl, and then our last stitch is a knit stitch. And that's our 2-row repeat. So we're back to the front now, back to the right side, and I'm going to do exactly the same again. So purl the first stitch, keep the yarn in front, slip the next stitch, and then purl the next. Keeping the yarn at the front to create that little bar. And that's what creates that woven texture. A bit like Hessian or burlap. It's got a really lovely texture. Last stitch is purled, and then I'll work the second row one more time. So we're starting with a knit stitch and a purl, and that's all we've got to do. Just repeat: knit, purl, all the way across. And there's very little stretch in this fabric. It's a very stable and very flat fabric. So think about any application where you want a really flat surface. So there could be knitted placemats that you want to hold their shape really nicely and have a nice smart texture. And there we go. There's that jute stitch all knitted up. Nice and simple. And all those slip stitches mean you're only doing half the work, which is the result in my book. Thanks for joining me on the Crafts channel today. Don't forget, if you're not already a subscriber, click the subscribe button, tap the bell icon too, and then you'll get notifications every time we post a new video. Till next time, I'll see you then.